Can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
I'm not sure if this is big enough.
Essentials of IELTS success.
Okay, all right. The essentials of IELTS success. Okay, so basically, what we are going to look at today is like what you need to know to get the IELTS, the band that you want. You have shared with us that you want to get a band 7.5, which is totally, totally acceptable. So we're going to look at that. For me, I usually advise that as much as possible, you want to practice your exam, you want to practice for your exam in such a way that for people that are writing for the first time, you want to make your first attempt your last attempt. Because with dealing with people that have failed before, when you when I say fail now, what I mean by that is people that have, that have not gotten the score that they need for whatever process that they want. And so if you fail in that regard, there's something it does to your mindset. It kind of puts you down, makes you feel less about yourself. I've had people that have probably done the exam 3 times. Some people they've even done it 6 times. I've heard of someone doing it 11 times, just to get the score that they need. And so I usually say instead of just repeating the exam every time, why not just give it all that you can to get all the score that you need, so that you don't have to worry. And so that's basically what we're going to be looking at today in terms of what must you do or what should you do or what things you are supposed to watch out for to be able to get the maximum score that you can get when it comes to IELTS. That is why we are here. And so in our agenda today, we're going to, of course, I'll try as much as possible that we don't spend too much time. I'll just spend like 1 hour to 1 hour, 30 minutes of your time. We'll talk about the common mistakes to avoid. Again, we'll talk about, okay, how to develop your language skill further. And then we can take Q&A. All right. And so you might be wondering, who is Faye? Who is the person talking to us? Why should we listen to her? So my name is Faye Damilola Adeomi. I'm a first class graduate from University of Lagos. And so I think that would mean that I have mastered the art of paying attention to details. And I'm also a pharmacist. So I pay attention to details a lot. And I think my genius, or will I say something that makes me exceptional as a teacher, is the fact that I am able to break the exam into easily understood concepts, something that makes it easy for even the person that struggles with English or does not have a strong foundation in English. That person is able to get the concept that I'm saying and able to implement it to get the scores that they need. And so I have taught hundreds of students with a success rate of over 90%. And fun fact about me, I remember when I was writing my IELTS, the first IELTS that I wrote was written in 2018. Yes, January 2018. And I remember that I booked it 6 months to the time. So that means I booked it in 2017 and wrote the exam in 2018. And I was so afraid of the exam. I was so afraid of the exam that, I've heard a lot of stories, the way people write the exam, and the most common scores that I used to hear then were 6.5. And I'm like, what's now remaining for the person to get 0.5 just to make it 7? Because I was writing the academic module at that time because I wanted to use it for a US admission. So but when I started practicing the exam, because I booked this 6 months, I didn't really like pay attention to it. I was like, maybe it's English language, it cannot be that hard. And then I started to practice. And then I was getting like 24 to 27 over 40. And it was bad. It was bad. I was panicking because I think I started practicing or putting much seriousness to it like 2 months to the exam. And so I was like, okay, because then we didn't used to have tutorials like we do now. Those days is that you get the official past questions from British Council. And I remember that they had told me, they sent me a mail to come and pick it up at their Ibadan office. And I'd not gone. I was busy with work. I had not gone, and I was like, maybe you'd have gone. You'd have gone to pick this thing up. At least you will have a direction as to where you are going to and all of that. Because I now realized again that the scores I was getting was like a band five. Hmm. And I was like, I don't get band five for hey. And I was sponsoring myself for the exam. I think how much was the exam then? I think the first exam I wrote was like 68,500. But it was a big money then because that was like a chunk of my monthly salary. And I was not living at home. I was on my own. And I was still parent, I was still, feed and all of that. And so I knew that okay, I must find a solution to myself. But the solution did not come until I spoke to a friend of mine. And so that led me to these results that you're seeing on your screen. Yes, this was my first results when it came to IELTS. Reading, so that means I found a way eventually to overcome my 27 over 40 to get this good score. And so that's been my journey. After that, I've written the exam three more times. I've written the academic module again. I've written the general module, and my result is always looking like this. And so I think for me, I would say my first practice of the exam made it very easy for me to be able to do subsequent ones because I remember that all the subsequent ones that I did it with less than 2 weeks of preparation. But that was because the first preparation that I took, like I really went down. I really went down to it to make sure that I understand what the concept of the exam is and all of that. And I think the last one I wrote was in 2024. And why am I sharing this? I can relate with the anxiety that everybody feels when they want to write the exam. I can relate with the fears. I can relate with, you know, the fact that you are not perfect. There are some people that when I'm teaching them, they're like, oh, they have like even before I teach them, they already have perception about themselves. I've met students that will tell me, I'm not good at English. I don't know how to speak English. I don't know how to think of something to say on the spot. And I'm good at everything, but I'm not good at writing. But my principle when it comes to anything in life is that everything is learnable. That is, every skill can be learned. You can learn how to listen. You can learn how to listen to foreign accents if that's what you struggle with. You can learn how to write about your ideas on the spot. You can learn how to build your ideas, right? There's nothing that is not learnable. And so once you understand that, you know that, okay, even if I'm currently not good at this thing, I can get better at it. And I'm a proof that you can get better at a thing and become so good that you are even teaching people. And that's my own personal testimony. And these are just cause I think this screen is small. I don't know if you guys can see it. Yeah. So these are scores of students that I have taught over the years. And so that's to show you that, okay, you are not just saying, you're not just saying this thing because you're a teacher. You've been able to replicate it in the life of other people as well. And so this is what their scores look like. And from people that even have attended master classes like this, free, they're not paying me to do anything as well. They've been able to achieve results. Like I've seen people message me, they've gotten to Canada and they're like, oh, do you remember so class? And there are sometimes that I cannot remember the class because I try to do free master classes as often as I can. And they are like, oh, do you remember that class? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I finally got into Canada. And it makes me very happy because I've experienced people around me having to, even before I started teaching, having to repeat the exams several times that is frustrating, it's financially draining for them. It makes them unhappy. It makes them have some sense of low esteem because everybody is wondering, I schooled in English, I did my degrees in English. Why will I be struggling with this particular exam? For some people, they're even living in Canada already, maybe like students, that now want to get their PR and all of that. And they're like, I live in this environment. English is not my problem. I've lived here for 2 years. I've lived there for 3 years. It shouldn't be my problem. And I honestly think that it shouldn't be an average African, right? So what am I here to do? I'm here to just show you ways to guarantee your success. So I want to tell you, get focused. Sorry that my environment is not quiet. My son is at the background, and yeah, for everyone that stays to the end of the masterclass, there will be a bonus for you. So let's destroy some myths about IELTS that some people think. Some people think that it requires high level of intelligence. Please give me a minute. Okay, so the first myth that I would like to break is that it requires an high level of intelligence. IELTS does not have to do anything, just has nothing to do with your IQ. If anybody has told you, oh, and you need to be very smart, you need to be, it's nothing about your IQ. I've seen people with considerably what we label as low IQ get very good scores in the test. It's not about that. The test is all about, okay, what's your English level? But beyond that, it's all about, okay, do you understand what it is that they are testing in some sections across the different question types that they will give you? Do you understand what it is that they are testing? And once you understand that, you are able to track, you are able to understand, you're able to pick the correct answers and get the best score that you can. What's the next thing? For me, when it comes to IELTS, I usually say, and that's why I was asking you, that what is your fear and your knowledge gap? Right? What are your fears? Some people, it's not even that they failed the exam, it's that they've had family members, they've had so many people that failed the exam, and that's what is holding them back. So address your fears. And even when you are scoring low, maybe you take the practice test and you realize, oh, I'm scoring low in this thing. Address those knowledge gap. You want to ask yourself, okay, where exactly? And that's why I usually say that before you even start preparing for the test, because I usually see that most people do that error. They just get a lot of past questions, they get on different apps, they get on different websites, they are going here, they are going there, they're going everywhere. And all of a sudden, they just feel overwhelmed with the whole preparation. No. First of all, take a mock test. Take like an assessment, right? Oh, listening, let me do a practice test. What am I getting over 40? All right, what am I getting over 40? When I write the essays, am I finding it easy to build my paragraphs? Do I know, can I get someone that can look at it and tell me, oh, okay, this is what you're doing right, this is what you're doing wrong? You want to address that, because once you know what it is that you are doing wrong, once you know your knowledge gap, all you have to do is, okay, what do I need to know? That's basically how it works. What do I need to know? And so it's always good. And so your preparation is tailored to what you need to know. Not that you are reading randomly, you're just saying, okay, let me go to this YouTube website and watch everything. That is good, but that should be after you've done some assessments. Try some tests first. See what your scores are. Okay, I'm getting 32 over 40, 32 over 40. What does 32 over 40 mean when it comes to listening? What does 32, what band is 32 over 40 when it comes to reading? Okay, this band, so for listening, for example, that's a 7.5. But for general reading, those that are doing the general module of the test, that is those that are doing for PR and all of that, 32 is a 6.5. 32 is a 6.5. And so that is not at the band that you want for your exam, right? And so you want to ask yourself, okay, what am I missing? What am I getting wrong? And for those that have taken the exam before, the most important thing that you can do is forget about your failures, right? Forget about the past. Oh, I failed the exam and all of that. What you should focus on is, okay, I got 6 in this thing. I got 6.5 in this thing. How do I get to a band 7? What scores do I need to get a band 7? For speaking, for writing, for example, okay, what does a band 7 or a band 8 essay, what does it look like? What does a speaking response of a band 8 level look like? Once you know that, you know exactly what, you know exactly what to address. So what do successful IELTS test takers do to guarantee their success? I think I've mentioned some of these things. They understand the IELTS format, and it's very, very, very simple. When I tell people that, okay, they're testing you across 4 skills: your listening skills, your reading skills, your writing skills, and your speaking skills. But that's just a basic information. Sorry. So that is just a basic information. Listening, what are they testing when it comes to listening? Do you know, can you walk into the exam hall and know, okay, what usually comes out in listening? Because when you know it, it makes it easy, very, very easy for you to be able to understand the exam. Oh, for listening, for example, they have 4 parts, and those 4 parts have their standard format. Part 1 is an everyday life conversation between 2 people, right? Part 2 is one person talking about a program or a particular place. Part 3 is, okay, you have 2 to 4 people speaking sometime, having a discussion about their academic assignments or their academic projects. Then part 4 is someone presentation on the academic projects. Once you know this format, when you get to the exam, there is nothing new that they want to, the conversations might be different, the context might be different, but you know that that's the format. Oh, I already know part 4 is one word only. They are going to give me filling the gap. What does knowing that do for me? It makes me less anxious. It makes me more confident in my preparation, because if, for example, I am always missing part 3, which is, most people say, is the most difficult part, where you're having a discussion. All right. When I know the format, I already know the traps that I need. Oh, I know that, okay, the common traps now, for example, in IELTS listening, is the fact that, oh, they usually do something like changing their mind. They will say something initially that sounds like the answer, and then later on in the conversation, they change it to something else. And so I have learned that I should be patient when it comes to that particular, I should be patient while I'm listening. I may take note of things that they are saying, but I always should make sure that I listen to the end to confirm my answer. So those are the things that, not just surface details in terms of what each part is about. Oh, for reading now, for example, I understand that there are different question types. What are the question types? Do I know the techniques to help me for question types? I think one of the jokes I used to make with my students is that reading, everybody will be able to get an I band, if not for the time limit that they have. Of course, you're supposed to answer 40 questions in 1 hour. And for those that are writing general, that might be easy. But for someone that is writing the academic module, for example, you know that that is not an easy call, because you have longer passages as compared to the general module. So you want to ask yourself, okay, what are techniques that I can use to save my time? What are techniques that, the way I would answer a true, false, not given question is not the same way I'm going to answer a matching headings question. It's not the same way that I'm going to answer a fill in the gap question. And so understanding the format, having the essential details of, okay, what does each skill, what are they testing under each skill? For reading, for example, it's all about paraphrasing. It's all about paraphrasing in terms of, okay, if I write this thing in a particular way, do you recognize it if I say it in another way? That is all reading is all about. It does not matter the type of question type that they give you. It's all about, okay, if I see something in this particular form, in this particular way, right? If I see it in another way, do I recognize that, okay, these two may look different, but they mean the same thing? It's all about paraphrasing. For writing, for example, you're thinking of, okay, there are two tasks when it comes to writing, whether you're writing academic or you're writing general. Okay, for academic, the first task, that's task one, is usually about it's always about a diagram, right? And then task two is always about an essay. But for general training, that's not the same thing. For writing task one, it is a letter, right? You're writing a letter. It's either you're writing a formal letter, an informal letter, or a semi-formal letter. While for task two, the task two of academic and general is the same thing, where you're writing an essay. And what are those essays always about? There are sometimes, sorry, the plane is passing. Okay. So there are some times that essays, there are sometimes in the essay that they would ask you to give your own opinion about something. So they might ask you, okay, what are the advantages and disadvantages of this thing? Okay, does the advantage outweigh the disadvantage? They might ask you things like, oh, okay, discuss both sides and give us your personal opinion. Those are the kind of essays that you see. And then for speaking, you have three. You have three parts. The first part is more like the examiner is trying to get to know you. The person is asking you, can ask you things about where you live, where you stay, where you work, what you are studying in school, depending on the context. Or they might ask you about your interests or your hobbies. I remember the last exam that I went, they were asking about musical instruments. I don't play musical instrument, but I had to find something to sing, right? It's just the examiner getting to know you. Then part two is they talk about your experience. Part two is always about your experience that has happened in the past. They might tell you, okay, describe someone that inspires you, and then they give you some bullet points of what to say about that person or what they want to hear in your response, right? And then part three is usually like a fireside chat where they're just firing questions at you, but usually part three questions are related to part two questions. But the only difference is that part two is about you. Part two is about your experience. Part two is about you personally. But when it comes to part three, the questions I expected, your response to the questions I expected to be general. Like you want to talk about it in a general worldview. So those are the details that you need to understand when it comes to the IS format. It's not just about saying, oh, I know you're going to test me out and listening. You're going to ask me 40 questions. No. What are those 40 questions all about? You want to know the intricacies of it. All right. Two, they have an accurate preparation timeline. And I see this a lot, even for students that enroll in my program. They don't have a concrete time of when they want to prepare for the exam. They're just like, oh, I want to do this exam. When I'm ready, I'll prepare for it. When you do that, it makes you relaxed. It makes you not intentional about preparing for the exam. So that's why I was asking Owola that, okay, what you when do you want to write the exam? What do you have in mind? You should have a timeline in mind, right? But that timeline, like I said before, should come from the fact that you've taken some practice questions, just like Owola has done. She has an idea of about a performance in the test, and then you want to ask yourself, okay, how long is it going to take me? Okay, if I say I want to move from 32 to 40, 40 is possible. If I want to move from 32 to like 38, 39 thereabouts, what are the gaps that I'm seeing? What are the patterns that I'm seeing in my practice? Oh, it might be that, oh, I struggle with a particular question type. Or when it comes to this part of the listening, when it comes to part three of listening, I struggle with it. Is there a way that I can overcome it? That is how you become intentional. That is when you now can see like visible growth in whatever it is that you are doing. So yes, you should have an accurate preparation timeline. Then next, they engage in consistent structured practice section for all the 4 sections of the test. Why am I saying so? Most times when people are doing practice question, for example, you're supposed to answer 40 questions. Let's talk about reading, writing in particular. For listening and speaking, it's more of like as you listen, you answer, and then speaking as well, as they ask you question, you answer. So you're not really under the burden of time. But for reading and writing, you're under that time pressure. Now, you don't want to say, oh, I practiced and I got 32/40. That 32/40, was it in the 1 hour that is specified in the exam? Because just practicing under like leisure hours, relaxed, no time limit and all of that is different from when you have that time pressure. Did you time yourself that, okay, I want to answer this thing in this 1 hour that is scheduled for the exam? How am I performing when it comes to this? That's a true test of, okay, this is truly my performance. Oh, for the writing, can I write the essays in the 1 hour? Task 1 and task 2. Can I write it in the 1 hour? Can I come up with ideas? Can I explain my ideas when it comes to that 1 hour? Then you must be consistent. It's not a thing of, oh, okay, I'll practice today. I practiced yesterday and then I'll practice today. For me as a coach, I am not against self-preparation. I tell people, you don't have to book a coach or book a class. If you can do it by yourself, by all means, do it. For me, I was lucky that I had a friend that had gone through the exam and gotten the score that I needed, right? And she was the one who was able to point out the things that I was missing. And that's what made me improve from 24, 27 to the score that you saw. But if I had known back then, like if if classes were popular back then, I would just easily just book for a class, because at that point in time, I didn't have that time. Like I said, I booked this exam 6 months before. And at 2 months to the exam, I'm still struggling. If I did not meet the friend, because then it's not like these days that people tell, sometimes they tell people that they are traveling or they are in the process of something. Then it was an hush something. You just hear suddenly, I've traveled or I've moved or, except if you are very close to the person. If she didn't come out straight, we've been in the same, in fact, we live in the same place. If she didn't come out straight to say, I've done the exam before. What do you need? What's the problem? I'm sure I would have failed that test. Yes, no. There's no how I want to do it, because she was not the one who gave me past questions, told me how to use the past questions correctly. That it's not just about practicing. You want to go back to the passage, for every wrong answer that you get, try to figure out, okay, why did I miss this thing? What's the issue there? Can I figure out what exactly that I missed? She sent me, okay, so the past questions she sent to me had sample essays, and those sample essays had correction in them. So I was able to look at it and say, oh, okay, oh, this is what I did wrong. Oh, I should do this, I should do that. That's what I'm missing. But if I didn't have that help, I would have just been doing many practice questions, keep on getting the same score, and be frustrated and be overwhelmed by the whole thing, that, oh, okay, I know why they said the exam is hard. You have to be consistent. You want to have it structured. And if you see that you're lacking in a particular area, please don't say, because listening is easy for me, let me be doing listening. At least I'm still practicing. No, my belief is, try as much as possible. Yes, you can start with the easiest section just to get momentum, but please focus on the section of the exam that you think you struggle with. Are you struggling with speaking? Start with that one first. Solve that one as a problem first. Don't say, oh, because it's easy for me, let me just stick with what is easy. You need the all 4 sections of the exam for your overall score, and it's going to tell, right? It's going to tell on your overall score. You don't want to get 9 in listening, and then when it comes to writing, you're getting 6.5. It will still draw your score down. So consistent, structured practice is very important. Now, of course, they seek feedback from teachers, peers, and that's why I said I am not against in any manner. I'm not against self-preparation. Just make sure you get feedback from somebody that has written the exam before. And if you can afford getting a tutor, get a tutor to help you, get a teacher to help you, right? It just makes it cuts your struggle in half when you have somebody to lead you through the process. I remember that before I was teaching, my friends would always, because I shared with were like a group of people then that wanted to travel, that wanted to travel out for postgraduate students studies then. And so we share among ourselves and they'll be like, Faye, this code that you got, it makes sense. So how did you do it? And then I'll give them, of course, I think that's what even gave me the boldness to start teaching people, because I'll give them tips. And so you have friends among you as well that they've tried one or two things that it's worked for them. Ask questions. I know that, yes, we have that belief in Africa, in Nigeria, that, oh, okay, when you tell people something, that's when it will feel like they are trusted people around you that you can trust. For me, apart from that friend that I talked about, the friend was like the number one support. Second person was my elder brother. He didn't take IELTS, he took TOEFL. And so I asked him that, should be his English tests, they will have some similarities, right? And so I tried to ask him, okay, you've written TOEFL. In fact, I even wrote GRE. He didn't write GRE, but I just asked, Alpha, do you have friends that are taking GRE? Please, how did they run it? For GRE, I remember that I had to book a class for it because I was like, when I saw the past question, I'm like, this one will like give me shit. Yeah, I give wish for my eye. Before I go and fail, let me ask people about it. So ask your peers. If you can book for a class, book for a class. Whatever you do, try to get feedback so that you know what you are doing wrong, and they can give you suggestions for you to improve. And then the last thing that they do, I usually tell my students, and it's something that I like to incorporate when I'm teaching people. It's not just, don't focus on, I want to pass the IELTS test. Focus on the bigger picture. If you are someone that, for example, you struggle to speak confidently, you just want to use that as a means to actually fine-tune that area of your life, that communication gap that you have. Oh, okay. I find it hard to know what to say when I meet people. When you're preparing for IELTS, it even makes it makes your preparation more rewarding when you're like, oh, okay. Like for me, for listening, I remember I found out that, okay, when the foreign accents, when they are going fast, I struggle to hear what they are saying. And the picture that just flashed to my head was, okay, if I get abroad, do I want to be saying, repeat yourself, repeat your repeat yourself several times, and I'm saying pardon, pardon, come again? No. It was a means for me to prepare myself for that environment that I want to be in. Oh, I want to be able to work with people international from different nationalities and be able to understand what they are saying. So I saw that as a means to actually improve on that part of myself. And so it's not strange to me now, I'm in Rwanda. Sometimes I speak, I speak in conferences and all of that. And people are like, where did you get that skill? Like you just talk and all of that. And I'm like, it started from the little things, right? It started from the little things. Oh, me standing up to ask questions in class. It started from the little things of, I remember that my mom would buy me books then. And the best thing that I could do with the books, especially in secondary school, was if I see any big word, I'll write it down, look for the meaning, look for sentences in which they were used. And so that's how, when people say my vocabulary is bad, I'm like, for me, I can't, first, I didn't have a reason or think of, was there any deliberate effort that I made to improve my vocabulary? Until I sat down with myself and I realized, oh, those things that I used to do in school, as you just open novel, any big word, you write it down, was a way of improving your vocabulary, right? So think of it beyond just the exam. Ask yourself, okay, this exposes because English is about communication. You being able to talk to people and then being able to understand what you're saying, and you as well understanding what you're saying. So if you find a gap, try to think of the bigger picture in terms of how can this thing favor me beyond immigration tests? How can it favor me in terms of my skills as a professional, my skills in talking with people, with communicating some with people? Is it revealing some gap? Is it, and then trying to work on it? I think it makes it more rewarding than saying, oh, I'm just preparing for an exam. That's what I believe about the exam. So we're going to stop here, and I would like us to share so that it's not me talking, 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 talking. Have I delivered on my promise? And what is your take home for today? I would like to hear from the both of us. You can unmute yourself to share.
Okay. So first, I will say thank you very much for the presentation and what you have explained so far.
Yeah.
Yes, you have delivered on your promise. And there are several take home in all you have said. I actually jotted them down and I'm sure
Oh,
it's going to be very useful for me. So I would say the main thing I took from it, the fact that I am not doing right now, is the fact that I don't have an accurate prep time. I don't
okay.
have like I feel I'm not being chased to say this
Oh,
is
okay.
the exact time I want to write the exam. You understand?
Okay.
Yes. So I don't have
Yeah.
a particular times, and that's a very important factor, is a major factor to
Yeah.
consider so that I can be able to say, oh, let me say in the next 1 month, I want to write this exam. So hopefully that is going to speed up my
Your
rate of
preparation.
practice and
Yeah.
know how to go about it. Then,
Okay.
based on the fact that I can have websites that I can do the speaking and writing from, because I never knew about that. I just saw for the listening and reading, which I have been using. Yes. And also being consistent in how you do it. In my own case, that I said I've been practicing, and I will say that I have actually been able to manage my 1 hour. I use the timeline for myself, yes. So once the time stops for the question, it's just like a video playing. So once it stops, I end the exam because I'm a lecturer
So
myself. So I need to
you
know.
use YouTube.
Yes, I use YouTube.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes. Like I said, I'm a lecturer myself, so I know the importance of time when writing an exam or when conducting an exam. So yeah.
All right.
Then
Thank you.
yeah.
Or you have more? If you have more, please go on.
Yeah, so you also mentioned something about giving feedbacks to the teacher. I've been practicing myself, so I cannot say I have a teacher or a tutor or whoever. Yes, I have people I talk to, but they are not my teachers. Yes, just friends that I've written the exams before. So
Okay, that's fine as well. As
and
far
it's been
as
helpful.
they can give you, I mean, they can give you quality, what's the word now? Quality feedback. That's for me, that's okay. For me, I had
Mhm.
someone that could do that for me. So it made it easy for me to say, oh, okay, you are doing the right thing, you are doing the wrong thing, you are doing the wrong thing. So that's not bad.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Can we hear from Precious? Is Precious here with us? I've not heard your voice. Are you here with us? Hi,
Good evening,
Precious.
ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Sorry, I can't hear you. I think your network is bad because you are breaking up. But good evening, if you can hear
Can
me.
you hear me?
I can hear you now. It's better now.
Yes, my network is very, yes, my network is very, very bad.
Okay, that's
My
fine.
network is very, very bad. And okay.
Okay, no
So,
problem.
and this is my first time hearing about Ielts and the stuff because I just graduated from my nursing school last
Okay,
year.
okay.
Sorry, my network is bad. I'm trying to.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Don't stress yourself. You can say what you want to say in the comments in the chat section if that's preferable for you. Okay, that's fine. But I wanted to hear your voice. Thank you. Thank you for letting me hear your voice. All right. Okay. So I'm glad that every one of us has, we found something useful, whether it is that we're learning about the exam, we are knowing, okay, what steps we should take next. I'm glad and I'm all for that. All right. So, yes, like I said, I'm not against self-preparation, right? But there are two options. You can choose to do it by yourself, or you can choose to do it with me. And I think that's one of the reasons for this masterclass, to encourage you guys to get help, right? And I think I've shown you so far that I'm a good help. Yeah, because it makes your journey simpler, faster, low cost, and straight to the point. So I'm going to share with you my curriculum. I don't know if you guys can see my screen. Can you see my screen? All right. So I have a cohort that is starting next week. And so what the group cohort is all about, or the way we do things, is you have the fully recorded course. It's something that you have full access to. And then it's not just the course. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to leave you on your own. No. The cohort is for 6 weeks, and we're going to be meeting 2 times in a week. The 2 times is dependent on the students. The students usually are mostly the times to dictate to me. They do like because it's a group class, of course, we do like a poll. You tell me when it is convenient, and then we go by majority, right? So we have two live sessions, one midweek and one on the weekend as well. 12 live sessions for those 6 weeks. And of course, during those live sessions, you're going to have mock tests where I'll be giving you personal feedback. So the good part about it is that I try to keep the cohorts very, very small. All right, maximum of 10 students, but so far we've been having 4 or 5 students per cohort, so you don't have to be worried as to not be lost in the crowd. But you also get personal feedback for your writing, personal feedback for your speaking. You are doing one-on-one speaking mock tests, and where I'll be asking you questions just like if you're in the exam, and giving you feedback as to what is your weakness for you, not a general thing. And for your writing as well, you are able to send your essays, and I'm also able to give you feedback as to, okay, this is what you're doing well, and this is what you are doing, what you're doing right. And one thing that I also love about the cohort is that you have accountability partners. So I assign you to someone, a fellow student, that is, you both are accountable to each other as to, okay, how are we going along, just to encourage each other, just to check up on each other as to, okay, this IELTS that we want to write, how do we make the best use of it? And of course, when we come to the end of cohorts, we have like a mock test that mirrors the real exam, where I put you on the spot, and I usually tell my students that whatever you're getting in this mock test, that will be your result. And they're like, no, right? But I just do that to fulfill all righteousness, in terms of, I always like that for everyone that comes across my way, if I'm helping you to do something, right, to achieve something, I fulfill on that promise, as long as you as well makes it like you are on the game, doing your assignments when you need to go to do your assignments, go through the lessons and all of that. And for those that are in this masterclass, I'm going to give you the free diagnostic assessment. So I'm going to send the link for the diagnostic assessment. Let me show you what it looks like. And so that diagnostic assessment basically is just me trying to assess, like, what is your current level? What is your current level? Nothing more, nothing, nothing less. So I'll show you what it's like. I always make sure that all my students fill this form or do the assessment so that I can tell what exactly their level is at. I know the points to focus on for each person and able to know your strength as well, because it's not every time we talk about weaknesses, we talk about strength as well. So this is what the assessment form looks like. And I test you across all areas. I test you across not all areas, not just the, I mean, I want to look at the form itself. So yes, this is what it looks like. So you can see response of people. So we do the speaking, we do the listening. Of course, we do it in the order of the exam. Listening, you answer a few questions just for me to know exactly where you are at. And then we move to the reading. So you can see not giving, true, false, people's response, matching headings as well. I look at that. And then for writing as well, I give you like a sample question, just write something small for me, and I'm able to tell what your weaknesses or your strengths are. And I also judge your listening as well, like your speaking as well, rather. You send your recording, and I give you an assessment on what that looks like. And so for everybody on this call, I'll be sending the link to you. Just fill it. Of course, from your response, I'll be able to get your, so I'm sharing the link now, right? I'm able to get your email address, and within 24 hours, you will get a response to what is your weakness or what's your strength. I'm going to give all of that. And so you want to make use of it. That is my own special gift to you for attending the master class. All right. So just fill it. And for those that are interested in attending the cohort as well, it's starting August 24th. You don't want to miss it. It's just 60,000 naira. You're going to have access to me, a closed community, getting personalized feedback on your writing, your speaking. Let me just show you what the syllabus is like. Of course, we go to understanding the exam format, the mindset you need for success in the exam. I've talked a little bit about that. For listening, I give you a practical video on, okay, for part one, what are the traps that you should look for? And in these video lessons as well, you get a chance to actually see or actually do a practice. So my philosophy of teaching is I show you how it is done, and then we try to do it together, and then I send you off on your own to try to do it on your own. So 3 stages. I show you, we do it together, and then the last step is that you try to do it on your own and you get feedback. You also have practice tests there for computer tests and all of that. You have all of that. And then you also have for reading the question types, the different possible question types that you are going to see in the exam. For Ielts, you have 6 major question types, right? And then under those question types, you have subtypes, right? Those subtypes are included in the video lessons. You get access to practice questions as well, computer-based, for you to practice. And then for the writing, you also understand, okay, what exactly are the examiners looking at in the essay? Usually for tax 1, you are expected to write formal, informal, semi-formal letter. There's a video to explain how you can do each one of that. And for tax 2 as well, okay, how do I come up with ideas? How do I build up my paragraphs to make sure that I write 250 words? What should I write about? How should I write? What should be the style of my writing? Everything is included in that lesson. And we also have for speaking as well. For those that struggle with speaking, right? you want to have video lessons as to how you can build your answers to maximize your score. And we also have extra resources in terms of, okay, yes, IELTS is moving to computer-based tests. How do I navigate that? We have a lesson for that. Exam-based strategies, things to put you in the best mindset as possible, the best mindset to put you in the right frame of mind to make sure that your preparation does not go to waste. You also have that in the course. And so if you are interested, you can join. There's a discount of 40% currently going on. This is Rwanda franc because I'm currently in Rwanda, but it's 60,000 naira, like I said, for anyone that is interested. So if you're interested, just message me on my WhatsApp number. I'm going to be dropping that as well. 6658. Yes, that's my WhatsApp number. You can message me. And yes, we've come to the end of today's masterclass. Does anybody have any questions for me? I would love to answer your questions. Any question for me?
Okay. So thank you once again.
You're
So my
welcome.
question is this. If I want to do the training with you
Yeah.
and I cannot join for the next cohort, when is the next
Okay.
cohort?
Okay, so it's 6 weeks. So that means this course is ending October 4th. And so that
Okay.
means the next cohort would be the week following that. I try to leave like a week in between, a week or two in between. So most likely the next cohort will be starting October 12th or October 19th. Yeah.
Okay. Because I
Yeah.
want to fix that in my timetable.
Oh,
I'm a
okay.
lecturer, yes,
Oh,
and I need to know what
okay.
my timetable will be like
Oh, okay.
before I say I want to venture joining the cohort.
Okay. That's fine. That's no problem at all. So, any other question? You can ask me specific questions as well about reading, writing, listening, reading, any other thing you can ask me. I'll try as much as possible to answer.
Okay, so while you were talking about the writing, you
Yeah,
mentioned something about, I think, the second part of the general, which is the essay or even the
yeah.
academic, that you can be asked to give an opinion about something. So in a situation whereby I don't have an opinion, what's gonna happen?
You have to form an opinion. You have to form an opinion. I think most times people make that mistake in terms of they take the writing and speaking to be personal. But I usually say that it's not a personal thing. It's not really a test of your opinion. They don't even care, right? And so what they are just testing is your response. So, like I usually tell my students, it's okay to be fictional.
Okay.
It's okay to be fictional about anything that you are writing or anything that you are saying. Just make it relatable. Just make it something that you can easily write about. So there are some cases they will ask you questions that you've never thought of. I've seen cases where they're asking questions like same school, same sex school, or different sex school. And I'm like, what? I forgot about that in secondary school.
So
And you
yeah.
might not really have an opinion about it. For me, I don't have a strong opinion about it. Anywhere you want to send your child to, you have your own reasons for sending your child there. But if a question asks me this or that explicitly, of course I have to pick one and I have to write about it. And so the best thing I can do is, okay, just try to imagine in my head. For me, I went to a different sex school. I didn't go to a same sex school, right? So I'll just choose something that I can easily relate to and I can easily write about, which is different sex school because that's what I attended. And so I'm going to write my essay about that. But if you meet me in real life and ask me about what's my opinion, I'm like, do what is do what you think is best for your children. For some people, it's the fact that, oh, okay, the educational standard of the school is, I mean, is very good, and that's why they're sending, oh, they feel like their children are not going to have distractions in a same scale sex, anything. It's not my right. But if a question chooses, and so this leads me to the point of trying to bring up ideas for your essays. I usually say that look for the best thing that you can connect it to. Sometimes it might be your own personal experience, but sometimes, especially in speaking, they might ask you a question that you've never thought about, and then you have to give a response. It's compulsory that you give a response. Just try to relate it to something that you can easily talk about. Sometimes it might be a gist that a friend has told you, or a movie that you have watched. It might be anything. Just find a relatable theme or something that you can relate with. And I'll give an example. There was this question of, okay, crime stories, crime fiction. Why do you think they are becoming very popular? I don't read crime fiction. I don't enjoy crime fiction. I don't even watch crime movies. But the best thing, when asked that question, best thing that I could think of was King of Boys, a Nigerian movie. And so my response was based on that movie. So that's one skill that I use to bring up ideas for my essay, because sometimes there are questions to throw you off and you don't know what to write. But if you don't know what to write, try to think of something, maybe a movie you've watched, anything. Just try to relate it with something, because that now makes it easy for you to imagine it in your head and you being able to come up with ideas. And so whatever I wrote in terms of why King of Boys is more popular, that's what I was thinking. Why do people like King of Boys? Oh, they like King of Boys because it portrays the underside of the society that is hiding, and so it makes people feel that they are becoming non-knowledgeable of what is happening with the society. Oh, I also wrote the fact that, oh, okay, writers make it very intriguing. There's so much plot twist that keeps people glued to the screen and asking what's next on all of that. So always try, sorry, say hello to everybody. So always try as much as possible, to look for something that you can relate whatever question they've asked to. Sometimes it's a movie, sometimes it's something that you've watched or a gist that you have heard. Just try to imagine something. And that's why I said, when you're preparing for exam, I usually tell my students, you are someone that you're not the inquisitive type normally. Try to be inquisitive in terms of, okay, what happens in the day-to-day life? Because sometimes they'll ask about gardening. And maybe if you're a Nigerian that was born maybe in the 2000s, or mostly in the 2000s, that maybe your parents were kept you locked up and all of that, you might not relate to the idea of going out to play or gardens, because you probably used to, except if you stayed in the suburbs. If you stayed in somewhere like Lagos, where the fences are high, neighbors don't even greet each other these days, you might not be able to relate, right? And so you want to ask, okay, in some movies that I've watched, I've seen that people are playing in garden. Try to relate it to that so that you'll be able to give your response. Because the examiner can ask you question, for example, in speaking, and you say you don't know. You don't know, okay. You have to give a response. And so you must be inquisitive. You must be able to learn outside your environment. And I usually say that, okay, you want to travel, for people that are in Nigeria, you want to travel out, try to research what's the environment that I want to be in. What do I like about it? What do they do there? What's their culture there? Watch movies about it. Watch shows about it, so that when they ask you questions, because sometimes it's the white guys that are questioning. Like my own last exam now, I didn't have a Nigerian questioning. My first two exams was a fellow Nigerian questioning me. But my last exam was a white person. And so he's not going to ask me questions based on Nigeria, because he can't relate. Of course, he's going to ask questions based on what is there. And so if I've not exposed myself enough, I will be lost. to be able to answer the questions very well. And so try to expose yourself. Okay, what's happening in these places? Their questions are very, they have familiar themes in their questions. They will always ask about things like education. They will always ask about things like environment. They will always ask things about technology changes. You see questions like, okay, do you think online shopping is going to is going to cause physical stores to be closed? They always ask things about that, things about development, things about music, culture, art. They ask about those questions. And so if you understand, and that's why I said it's not just about understanding the format, you need to know the specifics of each section. When you know that, it makes it easy for you because you know that there's nothing new these people want to bring. I already understand the way they think. I already understand the likely questions they are going to come out. Those 4 themes, the 5 themes that I just mentioned now, that is what their questions always revolve around. Technology, environment. Oh, do you think planting trees is going to is it going to make the environment sustainable? Or is it going to be better? Those kind of questions, those are the questions that that they ask. And so once you are used to that, it just makes you're able to walk into the exam confident. And please, whether you sign up for a coaching or not, when you go to the exam, please be confident. Be confident. I've seen people that they've done coaching with me, their performance is very good when they are doing classes and all of that. And then when they get to the exam, or the anxiety that they've put in their mind just messes them up. So whatever you do, be confident. Even if it's rubbish, I used to say it, even if it's rubbish that you're saying, say it with confidence. Say it with confidence and say it with correct English. It will do wonders. I'm a testimony of that. And sometimes they ask me questions during speaking. I don't know what I'm talking about. I come out and I'm asking myself, what did you just say? What did you just say? But it's the confidence, because they just want to see that you are comfortable in expressing yourself in correct English. That's all they want to see. So, like I said, it's not a big exam. Of course, having somebody to guide you through the process makes it faster and simpler in terms of if you want to do it maybe on your own, you gather resources, just like the way I did. It took me 6 months before to write my exam. And I was glad that I actually took that time because I didn't have help. But I imagine booking the exam maybe probably 2 months or that time. Ha, it would have been bad though. It have been bad because my Odo will be on point. It's going to be on point. But I'm glad that I was able to get help. I was able to get guidance from people. And so basically, and that's why I run master classes in terms of you don't need to pay me, but I hate if you see these people get a lot of money from Nigeria. People get a lot of money from Nigeria. You have 3 million people that write IELTS, or more than 3 million people that write IELTS every year from just Nigeria alone. And that's statistics from Nigeria. It's not considering Nigerians in the diaspora, it's not considering like Nigerians in other places. It's just Nigerians. And many of those people, I'm sure they are going to retake that exam because they need it for whatever it is that they are feeling. So imagine if you are getting 3 million, 3 million, and just times it in your head. Me, I'm timesing it times the fee of the exam. The exam is, I think, about 300,000 now on the average. They write 9999 something, but for me, it's just 300 to approximate it. And imagine getting that chunk every month. They die there. They can't. And that's why I see people like their petitions. Yes, some places will grant it, but what about people that they don't have choice but to write? And my own mission is for people that want to write it, please, let's make whatever attempts that you're doing the last attempt, because I don't want you to repeat it. Because there's something that repeating does to your brain. You just feel so low of yourself, which is unnecessary because you're already doing fine in your life. The only thing that you want to do is to make it better, right? But my own mission is okay. And there'll be fewer people that have to write the exam, get your score. Fewer people that have to retake this exam, because just write it once, do what you need to do, except if it now expires. But, and I usually say it, and I say it with boasting. There's no student of mine that if I teach you, you necessarily have to pay me if you need to write another one. I don't think it has ever happened. But some students, they just like it because so yeah, I wrote academic the last time. I want to write in general, and I'm like, what I taught you will be enough for you to do the general. I'm like, no, just do what you want to do. But it's something I boast about, because I teach in a way that if you decide for yourself that you want to teach somebody else, the person, if you're someone that knows how to teach, you'll be able to transfer that same knowledge to help somebody else. Because why do we have to write the exam several times? And the number is increasing because of the way our country is,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. God help us. So don't let me take you guys time too much. Thank you very much,
Thank you very
Owola
much.
and Precious, for attending my masterclass. It was so good to have you guys here. And
Thank
so
you.
if you need anything, tell me, make use of the diagnostic assessments. Let me tell you what your weaknesses and your strengths are, so that you can know what exactly you should prepare for. All right. Thank you, guys. It's
Thank
a
you so
pleasure
much.
meeting you both.
Same here. Thank you
Yeah,
so
you're
much.
welcome. All right. Bye, and have a blessed week.
You too. Bye.
Yeah, bye.